Shavua Tova, good vach. Tonight's true story I listened to and heard from my good friend of mine's father-in-law. His name is Rabbi Chitrik, Olav Shalom, and he was a shliach of the Rebbe in Brazil for a number of years, way back, I believe, in the 50s, maybe early 60s. While he was there in Brazil, the wife of the leader of the Jewish community was arrested, stopped in the airport in Miami, because they discovered that she had a purse, and hidden in the purse were diamonds sewn, hidden, millions of dollars worth, and that was a big deal, trying to avoid taxes, and she was put in jail. The community in Brazil, I believe it was in São Paulo, was totally blown away. Here's one of the wealthiest, most influential people in the community, the face of the Jewish community to the government, and here his wife, a mother of young children, is stuck, accused of smuggling, and she's in jail, and a very, very serious case, and the husband was ashamed to show his face anywhere. The father of the woman who was in jail was so embarrassed. Everyone was traumatized by the situation, and people were talking. As you know, people tend to talk, usually not in a positive way. And she claimed she's innocent, and everyone just laughed at her and thought it's crazy. The family approached lawyers in Miami where the case was due to be heard, and they said there's nothing to do. I mean, she was caught red-handed. She has no credible defense. This is major amount of money was being smuggled here. You're looking at 10 years. There's like nothing, no lawyer even wanted to take the case because it was such a closed case. There's no hope. Now the family, the woman's husband and the father were not Hasidim by any stretch of the imagination, but they were, members of the community. And Rabbi Chitrik, the Rebbe Shliach, approached the father, and he said, "Why don't you go and ask the Rebbe for a bracha? You see nothing else. There's no other possibility. The lawyers don't want to hear from it. Go and ask for a bracha." He says, "What? I'm not a Lubavitcher. I don't believe in Rebbes, etc." But the rabbi was persuasive, and the Thursday before the trial was due to be held on Monday. The Thursday before the trial, he traveled to New York, and he went into the Rebbe's room to ask for a bracha. And he broke into tears and explained the situation, and he's waiting for some words of encouragement, some words of blessings. And the Rebbe basically said to him, "Go to Miami," and that was the end of it. So he leaves the Rebbe's room, and he's very upset. No blessing, no advice. Go to Miami. What Miami? There's a trial in Miami, but that's about it. He has no lawyers, he has no family, he doesn't know what to do in Miami. So he calls up Rabbi Chitrik to vent and say, "Why did you tell me to waste my time and my money to go see your Rebbe? He didn't help me at all." So Rabbi Chitrik persuaded him, just like he got him to go to the Rebbe. He said, "If the Rebbe told you go to Miami, go to Miami. Nothing can be lost. That's where your daughter is anyways." So he agreed, and he traveled to Miami Friday morning, took a flight, lands in Miami, has nowhere to go, nothing to do. So he checks into a hotel that provided kosher meals, and he prepares himself for Shabbos. He was a religious guy. And after the candle lighting, he goes and asks, "Where's the nearest shul?" They give him directions. He goes to a shul. He's obviously not in the mood for conversation, doesn't have with whom or what to talk about, sits himself down in the back of the shul, and he was a very emotional man anyways. During the course of the davening, he burst into tears, and he couldn't contain himself. He just broke down. He was weeping in the back of the shul. When you see people crying, sometimes you quietly walk away. You don't look at them. You try to not embarrass them. So basically the shul emptied out, but there was one man who came over and sat next to him and put his arm around him and said, "Please tell me why you're so brokenhearted. Why are you crying? Maybe I can help." And he's just crying. No one can help me. All is lost. I just crying, until finally the stranger in the shul calms him down and says, please, share your burden. Perhaps I can help." So he tells him the whole story, and he tells us someone gave his daughter a purse and said it's a gift for somebody, and they'll meet you in the airport in Miami. And she didn't give her a name. They just said they'll run into you at the airport. They'll know you. They'll meet you. They'll get it from you. And my daughter perhaps is a little bit naive, and she took the purse. She didn't know it wasn't her purse. She didn't know exactly who, what, when, where. But whoever gave it to her said, when you land in the airport in Miami, someone will be there to take it from you. And instead of ever meeting up that person whose name she didn't know, which sounds kind of weird, She couldn't clearly say who gave it and why they gave it and who's supposed to get it. Bottom line is, she took this purse that wasn't hers to do a favor for somebody, and then she was arrested in the airport, and now she's away from her little kids and her husband and the community, and 10 years in jail, and he begins to cry again. And again, the stranger calms him down and finally gets him calm and says, listen, I'm the judge Monday morning. I'm very aware of this case. I didn't know you. I don't know your daughter, but I'm aware of this case. And because your words ring with such truth, I'm going to do what I can to help your daughter. And sure enough, Monday morning, he was able to do what he had to do as a judge and actually free her, allow her to return home. A year later, he actually the judge flew to Brazil, and they made a whole party celebrating this miracle that she got out of this jail situation. What Rabbi Chitrik reported to the Rebbe, and he said that all of Brazil is just blown away by this miracle, the judge and the shul, freeing, believing, the whole story. The Rebbe smiled and said, the real miracle is that this lady's father listened to me and went to Florida. May we listen to the words of Torah, may we listen to the words of tzaddikim, and may we see revealed blessings in our lives. Have a great week.